It's it's so nice.
Yeah.
So we are right on the dot at 6 p.m. So a very hearty welcome to all of you on behalf of Indian Institute of World Culture for this online endowment program, an endowment lecture in memory of Professor V. Gopalaswamy Iyengar, popularly known as VG to all of us. So this is getting conducted in association with Sri Ramakrishna Students Home, which he was associated for more than 4 decades. So we also have students from the Ramakrishna home who will be actually taking us or coordinating this entire program for us. And as we all know, we have with us today's speaker, Professor S.S. Murthy. A very warm welcome, sir. And during the course, shortly, we will also be introducing the speaker. So with this, I would like to give control to Sri Ramakrishna Students Home, so who will be taking us through this entire program. A quick request to all of us who are attending today that please keep your microphone on mute so that we can enjoy the program even better. Thank you. Over.
Starting the program now. So start with the invocation by Gautam Hegde.
एकदन्तं गजाननम् ईशपुत्रं लम्बोदरं हेरम्भं विनायकं शरणं शरणं गौरीसुतम् एकदन्तं गजाननम् ईशपुत्रं लम्बोदरम् सुरनरवन्दित शिवसुतने सुरनरवन्दित शिवसुतने प्रमथा प्रथमा सुपूज्यने प्रमथा प्रथमा सुपूज्यने सर्वाणि सुत प्रशान्तने सर्वाणि सुत प्रशान्तने हरसे मुदरे गणेशने एकदन्तं गजाननम् ईशपुत्रं लम्बोदरम् गृहपति ज्ञानीय गुणाढ्यने गृहपति ज्ञानीय गुणाढ्यने शरणं शरणं गणेशने एकदन्तं गजाननम्
ಸ್ವಾಗತ ಮತ್ತೆ ಪರಿಚಯ ಮಾಡ್ಬೋದಾ?
ಮಾಡಿ ಸರ್,
ಕೇಳಿಸ್ತಾ ಇಲ್ವಲ್ಲ?
ಮಾಡಿ.
ಕೇಳಿಸ್ತಾ ಇಲ್ಲ?
ಅನ್ಮ್ಯೂಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಳ್ಳಿ ಸರ್.
ಹಾ, ಸ್ವಾಗತ ಯಾರು ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ರೆ ಅವರು ಅನ್ಮ್ಯೂಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ಕೋಬೇಕು. ವಾಯ್ಸ್ ಕೇಳಿಸ್ತಾ ಇಲ್ಲ.
Hello, I'm ready. Yes.
ಪ್ಲೀಸ್ ಗೋ ಹೆಡ್.
Okay. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. On behalf of Sri Ramakrishna Students' Home, I welcome you all for the 11th Sri V. Gopal Swamengar Memorial Endowment Program. In the year 2010, on the occasion of the 90th year celebration of the home, 2 endowment programs were instituted at the Indian Institute of World Culture. The first was on 3rd August in memory of Professor V. Gopal Swamengar on the occasion of the home's Founders' Day, sponsored by his grandson. The second was on August 23rd in honor of Professor G. Venkat Subbaya on the occasion of his birthday, sponsored by Sri H.N. Anand and World Border at the home, and now by Dr. H. Sundaramurthy, also on World Border. Eminent scientific, technical, literary, and academic speakers and musicians have been invited to give special lectures and music concerts every year on this occasion. Only in the year 2020, the program could not be conducted due to COVID pandemic. The home celebrated the centenary in August 2019. I believe it is appropriate for me to say a few words about this noble institution, which all boarders, past and present, affectionately call it as the home and not as the hostel or similar name in light of the homely atmosphere prevailing in this institution. The home provides free accommodation, food, library, and computer facility for meritocracy college students based on economic considerations. We stress upon and strive to inculcate in the boarders value like discipline, hard work, and self-sustenance. The home has facilities to accommodate 50 students. We are proud to state here that many boarders of this institution have completed their education with distinction and gone on to occupy high positions in their respective professions and have been financially supporting the home. I am happy to know that today's speaker is one among them. Today is also the Founders' Day of the home. I now give a brief biography of Sri V. Gopal Swamengar, affectionately known as VG. Sri VG was born on August 1st, 1886 in Mannargudi, Tanjavur district of the former Madras province, currently Tamil Nadu. He had his higher education in the erstwhile Madras Presidency College and got his master's degree in mathematics in the year 1906. He got married to Srimati Pankajamma immediately after graduation. He worked in Mysore University, Bangalore Central College, and Engineering College at various levels, teaching mathematics. In the year 1931, the then Vice Chancellor of Mysore University, Mr. Metcalfe, appointed Sri VG as the Registrar of Mysore University. VG moved to Mysore and worked in this post for a decade before retiring in 1941. During his tenure, Mysore University underwent many changes for the good, such as introduction of master's degree courses and research courses. Earlier, students had to go to Madras for the same, and international recognition of Bangalore engineering and medical colleges. In Mysore, he took very active role in the affairs of Sri Ramakrishna Ashram and Parakal Math. He was also actively associated with Sri Ramakrishna Ashram, Bangalore. In 1919, after seeing the plight of poor students studying under street lights, he established Sri Ramakrishna Students' Home for providing free boarding and lodging facilities for poor students. In this endeavor, he was ably assisted by His Holiness Swami Nirmalanandaji of Sri Ramakrishna Ashram, Sri Rajaseva Sakta Venkataramanappa, Sri Rajadurva Prasakta Sri A.R. Nageshwaraya, and many other eminent personalities. He continues as founder till 1931, was managing committee member till 1943, treasurer till 1949, and secretary from 1949 until his death. The home started with a strength of 10 students, and today it can accommodate up to 50 students. VG spent VG spent most of his life in the upliftment and development of the home. In this, he was ably supported by his son-in-law, our father, Sri A.R. Dorswamingar, his nephew, Sri N. Varadarajan, and others. Late Sri H. Narasimhaya was also old boarder of the home. After retirement, he, along with Right Honorable V.S. Srinivas Shastri and Sri P. Kodanda Rao, took interest in the activities of Servants of India Society. With the help of Sri K.S. Sampati Rao and Sri K.S. Krishnayar, he upgraded the National High School to college level. Initially, the college had courses only up to intermediate level, and Mr. K.S. Sampati Rao was the principal. Later, when the BS degree course were introduced to fulfill certain conditions imposed by the university, VG took over as principal. He worked as an honorary principal and professor of mathematics. He established contacts with many eminent personalities to raise funds for the college. He, with the help of Mr. Sadashivan, organized music concert by the world-renowned Carnatic vocalist Srimati M.S. Subbalakshmi to raise funds for National College. He was also the Secretary of National Education Society, Bangalore. VG was a devout Orthodox and religious person and took part in the activities of Sri Prasanna Krishna Swami Temple in Tulsi Totem near Majestic, Bangalore. He was a man of few words, very compassionate and cosmopolitan. He took keen interest in sports and other extracurricular activities. He inculcated a sense of discipline and hard work in his family members. VG had one elder brother and one younger sister. Our mother, Srimati D. Shardamma, was the only daughter of VG. He passed away in August 1963, leaving a big void. The responsibility of running this home was subsequently borne by late Sri N. Varadarajan and late Padma Shri G. Venkat Subbaya. He was responsible for the upbringing of many eminent personalities and his family members. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. I request now to introduce the speaker of today, Professor S.S. Murthy.
Good evening, everybody. Good evening, everybody. It is my proud privilege to introduce Professor S.S. Murthy, distinguished speaker of this evening. Professor S. Srinivas Murthy received his BE, M.Tech and PhD degrees in electrical engineering from BMS College of Engineering, Bangalore, IIT Bombay and IIT Delhi respectively. During his studies in Bangalore, Professor S.S. Murthy was a boarder at Sri Ramakrishna Students' Home from 1961 to 67, when Professor V. Gopal Swami was its secretary till 1963. After serving IIT Delhi for 42 years as professor, S.S. Murthy relocated to Bengaluru in 2012. Professor S.S. Murthy, during his illustrious career, not only excelled in teaching and research, but also in administration, as evidenced by the kind of posts held by him till date. Professor Murthy's major administrative positions include Head of Electrical Engineering Department, IIT Delhi, Director of ERDA Baroda, NIT Surathkal, and Vice Chancellor of Central University, Karnataka. Professor S.S. Murthy had been a visiting professor to various universities in India and abroad. His visiting positions abroad were in University of Newcastle, UK, Universities of Calgary, Ryerson, and Waterloo in Canada. In India, Professor S.S. Murthy held visiting positions at IISc, PES University, Kirloskar Electric, CPRI, and GE R&D Center, all in Bengaluru. At present, Professor S.S. Murthy is adjunct professor at NIAS, INAE, AICTE, distinguished visiting professor at BMS College of Engineering and Dayanand Sagar College of Engineering in Bengaluru, and member, Board of Governors, IIT Dharwad. Professor S.S. Murthy has received several awards and recognitions, and to mention a few, Life Fellowship of IEEE and IE India, Fellow of INEE, IET UK, and IETE. Awards include IETE Bimal K. Bose Award for contribution in power electronics, ISTA Award for outstanding research, IEEE PES IAS Delhi Chapter Outstanding Engineer Award, and Distinguished Alumni Award of BMS College of Engineering. Professor S.S. Murthy's record as a researcher is even more impressive, with 300 plus papers to his credit, 100 plus thesis supervision, 90 plus sponsored projects, 40 plus technical reports, 7 books, and as many as 18 patents, including technology transfer. Professor S.S. Murthy, who has delivered more than 200 popular and special lectures in India and abroad, is our choice for this evening. From now onwards, Professor S.S. Murthy will take over.
Over to you, sir.
Okay. Thank you very much. My dear orders, friends, well-wishers. At the outset, I thank the organizers for giving me this opportunity to deliver this lecture today in memory of a great Doyen educationist, Professor V. Gopaswamy Iyengar. And I thank the organizers for giving me this opportunity. Hello? Now, of course, I know Professor VG exactly 60 years ago in a giant doctoral students' home in 1961, sometime in July. In fact, I was fortunate that I was selected by Professor Gopaswamy Iyengar for home, and he found me suitable to be admitted to home. And this is an important opportunity for me given by Professor VG, and that is the prime reason for what I am today. Professor VG was, of course, as already mentioned, was a great disciplinarian, dedicated, deeply religious, and having a great love to the students of the home. And of course, he was a towering personality. We looked at him with awe and inspiration. And in fact, he was, even during the home day, he was so affectionate. He would himself serve chirotis to all the guests who are attending the home day. And he was very particular that the home boarders should excel and study well. He would even inspect regularly to the rooms of the boarders when we were students to make sure that everybody is glued to their books. And he wanted to make sure that all of us would prosper well and come out. Of course, he was, at that time, he had declared we had 2 homes, one in Bangalore, one in our native place. Whenever we wanted to go to our home in our native place, he would ask, why do you want to go home? Is this not your home? So that was the type of feeling he had about us. In fact, I can remember one very interesting event. After I joined in 61 for pre-university in National College, and we did well in pre-university, and we could easily get admitted to engineering college. And at that time, they had to. There was a committee which had to allot us the 5 engineering colleges in the state. And VG gave a letter to all of us and to be taken to then principal of UECE, Professor K. Channabasaya, saying that we are admitted to, we are in the home, and so we should get admitted in Bangalore colleges. And my friend Nadigar, etc., faithfully took that letter to Professor Casey, and they all got admitted to UVC. And I did not bother much. I just thought it was okay. And then because of that, I was given seat in Davangere Engineering College in the first list. And because I did not take Professor Vijay's letter to Professor Chenbosaya. And then I was shocked because I was given Davangere because I belong to Shikaripur, which is closer to Davangere. And then I went to KC and I showed this letter. Then he told me, why did you not bring that letter earlier? Then he asked me, can I give you a seat in BMS college in the second list? I told, okay, any college in Bangalore, but there were only 2 colleges in Bangalore, UVC and BMS. So I got admitted to, I got seat in BMS college in the second list. So that's how I landed in BMS college and not in UC. So this is history now. So this is all, the type of my events, interesting events I had with VG. And of course, when we lost him in 1963, we had a great shock and concerned about the future, our future and the future of the home. Because it has been very well handled, and the baton was taken by Sri N. Varadarajan and then N.R. Ramesh. And at this stage, I wish to pay my homage to all those great people who have steered the home in this last half a century. Sri Varadarajan, then Chandrasekhar, and of course, recent and Professor GB. Now, with this few words, I will start my formal presentation. Okay. Okay, you can see the screen?
Yes, sir.
Okay, right. Anyway, I have started with a quotation from Mokshada Vishweshwaraya, says, the way to build a nation is to build a good citizen. The majority of the citizens should be efficient, of good character, and possess a sense of duty. Now, I also thought that what is the mission of Professor Gopal Sabhayankar? And his mission, what I could see, was produce human beings with integrity, discipline, dedicated, spiritual, self-reliant, and financial prudence, good social commitment, and vision. And the above qualities are expected of home boarders. And he was insisting on that. Now, today's talk, I said, concerned about education, which is responsible for making a human being with all these qualities. And Swami Vivekananda said, education is the manifestation of perfection in man. The very essence of education is concentration of mind. And he also said, every educated person is a traitor if having educated at the cost of the poor is not concerned about the poor. So this is now, you see, quality of a country depends on quality of people. And people of advanced countries have higher personal quality parameters apart from quality of life. Now, that's how they become advanced. How to improve quality of people? And education is the key. Now, the Indian people are Indian people of high quality. Are they truthful and disciplined? Does man on the street reflect good quality? Are lawmakers of role models? Has education played its role? So we have to introspect all these points, because we say it is. I think we want if India has to progress, we must have people of good quality. That's very critical. Okay. Now, we are talking about engineering education. What is the role of an engineer? Engineer plays a pivotal role in development of a country, and quality of engineering is critical for quality of and quantum of development. Okay. Now, engineering education is central to producing quality engineers. We must produce quality engineers, and teaching and research in engineering must be of good quality to ensure top technical human resource. So today I'm just looking at the quality of education and particularly quality of engineering education. Let us look at it. Now, who is a quality engineer? Quality engineer must have a multi-dimensional personality, and he must have a technical knowledge and skills, and he must also have soft skills, human qualities, integrity, ethics, discipline, and education must impart all the above, our engineering education. Now, next comes to who is an educated person. What is the objective of education? Should education be related to ethics? Are our institutions truly producing educated persons? So now we have to look at who is an educated person. Now, is education only related to skill development? Are they complementary or contradictory? So is our society concerned about quality of education or only to get jobs? Today, you see most of the institutions will propagate saying that their people have got good placement, but that is only part of the job. Is our education of a global standard? So that's the question we have to see. Where do we stand in terms of international levels? Now, I have made some definitions. Maybe one may differ. Who is an educated person? Let us look at whom we call the educated. Person with humility. Vidya dadati vinayam. So I think this is very important. A person who is arrogant is not educated. He must be truly secular. Not just politically secular, truly secular. What I mean truly secular, treats all human beings as equal. They do not discriminate based on caste, creed, religion, language, region, race, gender, etc. So that means educated person must treat all human beings equally. Okay. Now, integrity. He must be truthful, honest, ethical, disciplined, and he must obey the law. And he must be a good leader. He must also be a good follower. And he must be a good communicator. And he must respect women, no harassment, positive in thinking and optimist, pure in body, speech, and mind. He must have social concerns and care for the nature, helps the needy. He should be innovative, inquisitive, and creative. And he must be expert in a domain knowledge who uses it for good of society. So whatever knowledge we have, we must use it for the good of the society, not to do bad to the society. Now, what are the aspects of education? So there are three aspects I would say: knowledge assimilation, self-study; knowledge dissemination, pravachan or teaching; and knowledge generation or research. So all these three components becomes important as part of education. Now we have to see what is the difference between education and training, and there is a difference. What is the difference? And also we should understand the difference between literate and educated. So all literate person need not be educated. So there is a difference. So training, the education means you create human beings. Training means you impart them skills. For example, car driving school is a training that the fellow will not give him education. Okay, so we have to take care of these things. And industry versus institution. So these two are important components. Industry produces products and services, and it is a business aimed at profit. That's the industry. But institution produces human beings, and it should not be a business for profit, but motivated for societal service. but it needs support. So we have to look at the institutions today. Are they commercialized institutions or are they with a mission? So now, what is the difference of university and industry? University seeks unity in the great diversity, where industry thrives on differences. A true purpose of education is the refinement of mind. The values in the house of education are different from those of the marketplace. So Saraswati and Lakshmi cannot live in the same house, perhaps, though they may be complementary. Okay, require Saraswati for Lakshmi, Lakshmi for Saraswati. Now, education and knowledge economy. See, gross enrollment ratio of 30% required in knowledge economy. US is 84 and Japan 55. China is 30 and India is 15 gross enrollment ratio. And it is said that 100,000 additional applicants per year in engineering alone, except for the recent aberration because of some drawbacks in engineering. Need one new brick and mortar university every week. That is in India. That's what it will be required if you want to have a good enrollment ratio. So that would mean we require a massive online education and as well as enhanced quality of education. Now, one of the important things we must address is education and not examination must be the goal of university. Okay. I think you understand that bulk of it is centered on examination. Examinations are means and not an end. Okay. So it is said that ideal goal of life, it is mentioned, Atmano Mokshartham Jagadhitaya, means self-realization and good of humanity. And education must motivate both. So Adi Shankaracharya said, Udar Nimittam Bhokruta Vesha. But is education only to fill the belly? Or is job the only goal? But you look at most of them all glorify campus placements. Okay. So we have to address the core issue of what is the fundamental purpose of education. Now, if you look at the education in India, genesis of education in India, I've gone through. So it's more than 5,000 years old. And Guru Shishya Parampara has a long tradition, very unique to India. It was emphasis on debates, discussions as part of education. So this Vedanta, Buddhism, Jainism, it was all based on deep discussions. You have the Nachiketa Yama in Upanishads, Kathopanishad. You have Shankaracharya's Mandan Mishra debate. Even Amartya Singh says India is argumentative India. So discussion debates is central to education. Now, in Indian knowledge was not thrust but created by churning between the teacher and the taught. So there was also more emphasis on learning than teaching. It is said that somebody was just sent out to learn and he came back saying, what is Brahma? He said, Pragnanam Brahma. Consciousness is Brahma. So he went on realizing things. Okay. So India has produced maximum number of rishis, saints, seers who guided the society, including the rulers. They preach human values and ethics. Are we using this knowledge as part of our education? Now we have to see, it was so much of treasure we have developed by these saints and rishis, but are we using them as part of education today? Now, education has two components primarily as per our things. One is for quality living. Another is for quality life. Now, first deal with materials and second deal with mind. First gives comfort and the second gives happiness. First is called Apara Vidya and second is called Paravidya. First was essential for good living. Second was considered true knowledge dealing with human values and bliss. So these differences must be understood and must be assimilated, must be effectively used. And saints and sages teach the second system with considerable emphasis on mind management, like yoga and meditation. And science and technology comes under the first category, which is essential but not sufficient. If you have only science and technology, that cannot be sufficient. So, because you understand that today's problem like COVID and climate change are man-made, because the science and technology was not truly used for the good of humanity. Okay. So we have to address these issues. We have to combine human values along with science and technology. Now, if you look at the science and technology in ancient India, see, these are all such great work that has been done and which is recorded in their works. Sushruta Samhita by Shushruta in 1000 BCE deals with surgery and medicine. Aryabhatti by Aryabhatta in 476 CE, astrophysics. Arthashastra by Chanakya 375 BC and economic administration. And then Panchasiddhanta by Varahamihira and 500 CE on astronomy. Patanjali Yoga Sutra and Patanjali on yoga. Charaka Samhita by Charaka 200 BC Ayurveda. Rasendra Mangalam by Nagarjuna on science of astronomy. Vaisheshikam Darshanam, principle of atomic energy, etc. Kanad has produced a lot of things replicated on Newton's laws on 6 BCE. And Mahayana Prakash, Madhava calculus. So these are all documented. In fact, one can go through a YouTube channel on Shivoham. They have listed all these things and with very well documented. So these documents created by eminent people, which is thousands of years old, and they don't find. So there is enough evidence of impressive education system in ancient India involving studies on science, technology, mathematics, cosmology, astronomy, health services, earth sciences, terrestrial and environmental sciences, logic, economics, chemical sciences, metaphysics, biological sciences, dance, music, art, weaponry, martial art, theology, philosophy, architecture, sustainable living. They're all there in the ancient education system. Unfortunately, above storehouse of knowledge on science and technology in ancient India is not even mentioned in the current education system, either due to ignorance or by deliberate design. Because most of the information in today's education is sourced from the West. So this is the tragedy, that so much of knowledge has been deprived to our present generation of students. Varahamihira did detailed study on planetary systems 2005 years ago, but rarely referred in modern texts. In the 6th chapter of Vaisheshika Sutra, Kannada, 6th century BC, proposed laws of gravity, which are repeated by Newton in 16th century AD. Kannada's work is rarely quoted in current science books, which only highlight Newton. This fact is confirmed by Manchester University.
நான் பார்க்கல உன்கிட்ட கொடுத்து
I request Professor S.S. Murthy to unmute again. Sorry.
I don't know how it happened. Anyway, yeah. Should I repeat this?
No, you are offline just 5 seconds.
Okay. So Varahamihira did detailed study on planetary systems 500 years ago. In the 5th chapter of Vaisheshika Sutra, Kannada propounded laws of gravity, which was repeated by Newton in the 16th century AD. Kannada's work is rarely quoted in current science books, which only highlight Newton. And this fact is confirmed by Manchester University. Bhaskaracharya gave the whole concept of astrophysics, universe, of the universe comprising stars, planets, solar system. And Indians knew that Earth and others were round much before West started debating it. Varahamihira too introduced the concept of gravity. So these are all, you can see these were all done by much thousands of years ago, and only subsequently replicated by Western scholars. Galileo discovered laws of kinematics in his book Two Sciences, 1100 years after Aryabhatta propounded the same mentioned in his book Aryabhatiya. Agamas, written thousands of years ago, a treatise of theology and details of temple architecture, etc. Agamas reveal hidden mathematical marvels, Shilpa Shastra explaining sculpting of stone structure, etc. So even today's temples are built by the sutras of Agama. Epics Ramayana, Mahabharata have many mention of gold, silver, copper, wax, glass, mirror, boat, palaces, arches, bridges, carriages, water bodies, tents, etc. It is believed that Vishwakarma was the great architect who built palaces and structures. Number system and unit of length and time were amply used in ancient Indian scriptures, which much before West started to count. Okay. So it is well known that universities like Nalanda, Takshila were great centers of learning that attracted scholars from all over the world. In fact, if you visit Science Museum in London, and there is a section on rockets, it mentions that rockets were fired on the British by the Indian Army. So much before, rockets, much before British, that were used against British Army. So Indian textiles were famous for centuries. Londoners were eagerly waiting every week from the ship from India, bringing Indian textiles. So that was the popularity of Indian textiles in Britain. So as you said, present education system, especially on science and technology, must include above documented Indian knowledge treasure, critically compared with relevant Western knowledge. Okay. Now, the thing is setback in Indian education. We talk about all these things which happened thousands of years ago. Education system in India had a major dent during nearly 1,000 years of foreign rule before independence. Many rulers were not keen to educate the public. History is replete with events of subjugation and slavery, with little information on education, science, and technology. So India missed Industrial Revolution that pulled her back in engineering, technology, and manufacturing compared to West. So there's a big setback in the education system spanning about 1,000 years. Now, Mahatma Gandhi mentioned, he addressing the Royal Institute of International Affairs in London on 20th October 1931. India today is more illiterate than it was 100 years ago, because British administrators, when they came to India, instead of taking hold of things as they were, began to root them out. Ancient schools have gone by the board because there was no recognition for these schools, and schools established before the Europeans pattern, after the European patterns, were too expensive for the people. So even Mahatma Gandhi lamented how the Britishers sort of distorted the education system. Ananda Kumar Swamy, an educationist in 1908, said, "Speak to the ordinary graduate of an Indian university, he will hasten to display his knowledge of Shakespeare. Talk to him of Indian dress or jewelry, he will tell you that it is uncivilized and barbaric. Talk to him of Indian philosophy, you find him atheist of the type common in Europe a generation ago. Talk to him an Indian art, it is news to him that such things exist. He is indeed a stranger in his own land. By the time of these comments, universities of Calcutta, Madras, and Bombay were existed for 51 years. By 1947, so you can see this is the comment in 1908, the type of graduates that were being produced at that time. 51 years after Calcutta, Madras, Bombay University was established. By 1947, there were 21 universities in India. And Swami Vivekananda also mentions, Swami Vivekananda inspired J.R.D. Tata to start Indian Institute of Science. And he was a guru of the great scientist Tesla. And he mentions, the child is taken to school and things he learns are, his father is a fool, grandfather a lunatic, all teachers are hypocrites, all sacred books are lies. By the time he's 16, he is a mass of negation, lifeless and boneless. And the result is that 50 years of such education has not produced one original man in 3 presidencies. This is the statement of Swami Vivekananda. Now, on technical education, very little information is available on teaching of techniques and crafts in 18th or early 19th century. But one wonders, suppose if you go to the ancient temples, you can imagine what type of engineering skills they had in building such huge temples, including like Konark and Sanchi and so on. Now, there's no information about many technologies or techniques that were used in those times. Gradually, crafts were learnt at home, passed on within the same caste. Parents usually being teachers and children the learners. So engineering education in India formally started during the mid-19th century, largely followed the practice-oriented pattern of pre-war British education, even in the post-World War II era. Same thing was followed, nothing much. And up to early years of independence, that was the level of engineering education. And engineering jobs mainly confined to public works department, electricity boards, post and telegraphs, railways, and ordnance factories, all in government sector. At independence, India had 28 polytechnics and 28 engineering colleges to provide engineers and technicians for operation and maintenance of equipment and systems largely imported from West. That was status by. But interestingly, electricity and railways came to India not far behind the West. That was because Britishers needed it. So we are not far behind the Western countries on these two important things, electricity and railways. Now, Indian dream post-independence. With the above fragile background, we had almost very fragile background before independence. India dreamt of world-class engineers and world-class institutions post-independence, which was a great challenge. So, in this direction, Indian Institutes of Technology, IITs, and National Institute of Technologies, NITs, they form two major pillars of technical education in India, each having their own genesis and growth till date. Okay. Now, I come to today, NEP, National Education Policy 2020 and Technical Education. And there is one para on technical education. It says it includes engineering, technology, management, architecture, town planning, pharmacy, hotel management. Okay. Now, one of the important recommendations they say, promote interdisciplinary actions. Interdisciplinary means you bring together people with unlike minds. Okay. So, of course, it emphasizes industry academic interaction, innovation and research, technology for humanity, and then it emphasizes you must cutting edge areas like artificial intelligence, machine learning, 3D machining, genomic studies, biotechnology, neural technology, nanotechnology, and neuroscience, etc. These are things I highlighted the NEP 2020. So, when you go to the state, it doesn't appear very revolutionary, nothing revolutionary. But he unfortunately did not mention the critical areas to save the planet, like climate change, global warming, emission mitigation, disaster management, and clean energy. They are not mentioned, unfortunately. Of course, there is a they have made a general recommendation for higher education in the NEP 2020. Now, outcome of NEP, I call it interdisciplinarity is an important thing. So, need to define disciplinarity and redefine faculty structure to reflect invariant core capabilities. See, in engineering today, it is interdisciplinary. If somebody has to build an aircraft, it is highly interdisciplinary. And today, if you want to bring a wind electric systems, so it is several interdisciplinary. So we have to look at today in engineering education, we must encourage a lot of interdisciplinary activities. So we must have degrees for students to meet current market needs, and interdisciplinary teams incidentally were used in Bell Labs in 1930s to solve real problems in specific sectors. So interdisciplinarity has been in existence in engineering. Now, since I have been in IIT for a long time, 42 years I taught in IIT Delhi. So I'm trying to highlight that, if you want to have quality education, some of the good things of some of the leading institutions like IITs which have to be emulated by others. So there are 23 IITs and 35 NITs as on date. So they attract best students and teachers. Form the largest group of premier engineering institutions in the world under a common umbrella with a critical mass. They're having potential to become the strongest cumulative knowledge storehouse in domain areas. So they can be role models for others to emulate. So that is what is we can consider today's lecture. Okay, these are the very large number of quality institutions established in the country, but the country is lamenting. Why? Because despite this strength, country is lamenting why they do not find place among the top world ranking. If you look at the world ranking of institutions, the Indian institutions don't find much place, and even they don't rank even compared to newly developed countries like China and Singapore. So this is a matter of deep concern. Why are we behind China and Singapore, even though we have such premier institutions and very good students? Now, country has made big names like Atmanirbhar Bharat, Make in India, Developed India, Superpower. All these dreams are there. Now, for that dream to fructify, you have leading engineering institutions should play a crucial role to achieve this. But the contribution to technical and economic development of the country is not found very significant compared to similar institutions in the developed world. So now, if we look back, even the leading institutions have contributed to economic development of the country in a big way. See, if you look at Stanford, MIT, etc., their contribution to development in those countries is quite phenomenal. They dovetail their activities to meet the needs of their country and societies at large. Now, how to ensure quality engineering education? Now, the paradox in engineering education is best school leavers opt for engineering. This is the fact today. They want to be in engineering when they are in, but they want to be out of engineering when they are out. So look at the graduates, when they're out, they don't want to be in engineering. They want to be in banking, they want to be in finance, they want to be in management. Okay. So whatever they do beyond their graduation is nothing to do with what they did during graduation. So this is the paradox. So status in India, over 4,000 institutions produce nearly 10 lakh engineers graduates annually. Among these, less than 20,000 come from Tier 1 institutions like IITs and NITs. There is quantity, but quality is questionable. Bulk of them are open to be by employers to be unemployable. If you ask many of the employers today, they say that many of the graduates are not employable. So that means they are questioning the very essence of engineering education. very relevance of engineering education in the country. So what is Indian brain? We have a problem. Indian manufacturing has shrunk over the years and unable to compete globally. Weak academic industry interaction has augmented this problem. Engineering institutions are not engaged in socially relevant activities. This is also a hard reality. And COVID is a disaster, and let's hope for the better. Okay, we get over soon. Okay, so all this has created problem for engineering in India. And what are recent setbacks? Core engineering beaten by IT, manufacturing beaten by China. 22% of world manufacturing is in China, 11% in USA, and 3% only in India, world manufacturing. Core departments are closing down. Many engineering colleges are downing shutters. And VTU has prepared a list of core engineering departments that are closed down in the recent year, even including important subjects like mechanical engineering. Those departments are closing down. And AICT data on closure, recently they said they have reduced 1.46 lakh seats. The average of 50 colleges are closed every year since 2016. And last year, 63 colleges were permitted to be closed by AICT. Okay, so that is the downward trend. What are the concerns of core engineering? Compensation for core engineering jobs for fresh graduates is far below those of software companies. Okay, bulk of companies coming for campus selections are software and negligible from core engineering. So we must get more core engineering companies by campus selection with good compensation. So this is the challenge. Industry and government must play a proactive role to promote core engineering to be embedded with software skills. So therefore, competency building, skill development, international level of expertise in any area in the country in core engineering is very weak. You can't say we have international experts in any area in engineering. So this must be strengthened through education in critical and strategic disciplines. Okay. Bulk of the startups in India is still in software. So if you've got Flipkart or Zomato, whatever it is, they are all in software. Efforts need to push core engineering startups. So we must encourage core engineering startups. But it has great potential for economy and job creation. So future of engineering will be a healthy combination of core engineering, sensor technology, software, data science, and smart systems. So future will have a major breakthrough in these areas. So engineering education must be totally reoriented to meet these needs. Bulk of the core engineering jobs in India is in government sector, which follow outmoded recruitment procedures, combined with unattractive job satisfaction to the bright who run away from core engineering. So thus core jobs are filled with mediocre talent. Okay. Now reservations have added complication, limiting opportunity for others who drift away from core engineering. Many public sectors are headed by bureaucrats. Contrast Bangalore Metro with Delhi Metro. Delhi Metro was headed by a well-known technocrat Sridharan, and Bangalore Metro is always headed by bureaucrats. So there are time overruns and cost overruns. So engineers are not in driving seats. So they can be followers and not leaders. Therefore, in such an environment, visionary Vishwashrayas cannot emerge if they are not leaders. So it is not uncommon to find majority of IIT graduates of core disciplines drifting to software management, finance, or civil service, with few left to take up hardcore jobs. Now, because of these constraints of core engineering. So industry and government must make core engineering challenging and attractive. Now, engineering design and documentation today is highly computer supported with dedicated design softwares and domain areas. So there is a big change today. So company like Boeing designs the whole aircraft through computer with sophisticated finite element techniques. But engineering students in India are not trained for design, with very little knowledge of latest software. And very few faculty have design exposures. So engineering education must have strong design component, and therefore to have good core engineers to produce products and processes. So we must produce very, very world-class core engineers who should produce world-class products and processes. So that is a challenge. So India's future development hinges on several areas. Now I have listed several areas which are very critical to India's development. What are these areas? All require core engineering expertise. All these: climate change concerns, emission mitigation, clean energy, Paris Agreement compliance, waste management, carbon footprint, urban planning and smart cities, agriculture, food processing, healthcare, telemedicine, diagnostics, biomedical engineering, medical electronics, technology to tackle pandemics, image processing, renewable energy, energy efficiency, electric vehicles and transportation. Now, in future, you will have all electrified transportation: two-wheeler, three-wheeler, cars, minibuses, tempos, buses, train, and aircraft. In fact, electric aircraft or even flying cars are going to come in this mid of this century. So you have to think very big and differently. And you want 24/7 electricity. You will have smart grids, microgrids, high-speed traction, smart GPS-based highways, disaster management, automated rural roads, 24/7 water supply, water management, river grid, groundwater storage, minings, metallurgy, integrated transport, intercity, intracity, strategic technology, security, defense, space, atomic energy, aerospace, ICT, intelligent and energy efficient buildings, factory automation, flexible manufacturing, application of robotics and mechatronics, 3D machining, technology-based education and literacy drive. Now, all this require core engineering. India, because why I said technology-based education is going to come in a big way, because India has more illiterates today than total population of India at independence. Right? So we had to think big and use technology for these things. That means we have to globalize. Now, under a global environment, it is imperative to bridge the gap between global and local standards. What do you mean globalize? If India wants to really be a global leader, say Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam, that means our standard must be of a global standard. Okay. Now, what I say is aim not at globalizing India, but at Indianizing the globe in engineering education. So this is my slogan. So it is feasible, but with considerable local potential in terms of manpower and resources. So it is feasible that we will educate the globe in engineering. Okay. Now, Ano Bhadra Krutavayanto Vishwataha. This is what is our statement. That means Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam. That means Gandhi said, let us open the window to the world to allow free aid and knowledge from across the globe. So let us permit foreign universities to open campuses in India. I think let us not be afraid. When we have Nalanda, Takshila, which had all the global worldwide scholars converging here, why are we afraid of foreign university coming to India? So we should create competitors to IITs. Now, aim world class. What I mean is, let us target to produce 1 lakh world-class engineers annually. Let us think of this. Let us create 1 lakh world-class engineers, world-class. But let us say make 100 institutions world-class in India. So if you say each admit about 1,000 students each year, so we should have a basket comprising IITs, NITs, IIITs, IASC, ISER, select central, state, private universities, foreign universities, and autonomous colleges. Let us have a basket of top institutions in the country, and all must have a level playing field. This is very important. pay global salaries to faculty if they have global quality. Follow China example. See, China gives global salary. They attract a lot of these non-resident Chinese. So why should we not attract NRI faculty? So have a large adjunct and visiting faculty. So that should be our aim. Now, you want to have best institutions, you emulate best practices of best institutions. This is what is, so that should be aim. So we need 3 Fs for quality: faculty, funds, freedom. And we want 3 Gs. What are 3 Gs? Good students, good teachers, good governance. All the 3 are necessary if you want good education. Okay. And therefore, quality of institute depends on quality of students and quality of faculty. Okay. And therefore, I would say best institution is one which attracts best students and best faculty. So today we say IITs are best because they attract best students and best faculty. Now, every institution must aim for this. Now, one other thing is admission process. Now, we have the National Testing Agency is a good step of the government. Now, I would propagate for one nation, one entrance test. Must be ideal for engineering admissions, like NEET for medical. So admission must be based on entrance test and board exams. In fact, we should have a combination of entrance test and board exam. I would say take a percentile of entrance test, percentile of board exam, and take the average of the two. Okay, make a national list. So we must confront, but then there are a lot of vested interests. So we must confront vested interest for the sake of students. Okay. So we have multiple entrance tests. It's a bane for students and parents and boon for coaching industry. Ashok Thakur, in an article almost 10 years ago, who was the education secretary, wrote that the annual turnover of coaching industry in India was 1.25 lakh crores about a decade ago, which is much higher than the higher education budget for government of India. Okay, so many want to have their own tests because it's a huge revenue earner. Okay, now one more thing is India has very bright students. The recent CBSE, which results came on 30th July this year, shows 70,000 students with more than 95% score, up from 38,000 last year. So last year there were 38,000 who had scored more than 95%. There are 70,000 students who scored 95% above in CBSE, told the board, CBSE alone. That means they all deserve to be in IITs. So now the fact of the matter is, number of top school leavers in India is more than the total school leavers in USA. So we have such a large intelligent student strength. So Indian students find cracking SAT US entrance test much easier than cracking JEE. Now on JEE, mains and advanced, a total of 10.23 lakh candidates appeared in 2020. Cutoff of total NTA scores I'll give you in the next table. And score, then you will see here the categories. See, cutoff score of JEE main was in common category is 90%. Economically weaker is around 70%, OBC around 72%, SC is 50%, and the ST is 39%. This is a cutoff score of selection, okay, as per NTA score. Now, top 2.5 lakhs of JEE main are eligible for JEE advanced. So in 2020, there were open categories about 1 lakh, EWS about 25,000, OBC 67,000, SC 37,000, ST around 18,000 something. Out of our 10 lakh who appeared for JEE main, only about 10% is eligible for second test in open category. You can imagine. So not just a student is evident. So if JEE main score is used for, all engineering admissions and seats get enlarged and chances of admission increases manifold and discontent is reduced. So my propaganda is have only one test, JEE main, for the whole country, okay, and face the vested interest. There are a lot of vested interest, and for this good of India, if you want Atmanirbhar Bharat, make our students Atmanirbhar. Okay, so it's very important. So we must scrap JEE advanced. I don't see any need for second JEE for IIT admissions, etc. Okay. Now you see JEE advanced. This is the table which says in general category 53,000 registered and 50,000 appeared and about 5,696 were offered. So about, you can see 30% were qualified in the general category. So only 10% offered. EWS is 16,000 registered, about 1,000 offered. OBC around 62,000 registered, around 3,500 offered. SC 27,000 registered, 2,000 something was offered. ST 12,000 registered, around 1,000 offered. So this is the percentage. This is statistics given in 2019. So you can see, the person appearing and person offering is much smaller. Okay, so that is the statistics. So now this large segment of school leavers are keen on engineering admissions, and it's very unique feature in India. In not all other countries, have this thing. So bright school leaver keen on engineering education join IITs and NITs. Large number equally bright was opt out. See, due to financial problems or personal reasons, and join other engineering colleges. But they're equally good. So for many of them, dream of IIT is not diminished, and many bright from the other colleges join IITs for post-graduation. So IITs continue to be a magnet for bright youngsters for engineering. Now, there's one recent phenomenon called flying abroad. Recently, there is a new phenomena of many school leavers opting to go abroad for bachelor's programs from their own funds or by taking bank loans. They need not be best brains comparable to IITians, but they go abroad. But they are rich, motivated for foreign degrees, which will lead them foreign jobs. So effectively, they left India with a one-way ticket. Okay. So, but there's a big trade on the Indian finances. In fact, yesterday's Times of India, it says that foreign education accounts for most outward remittances, $353 million last year. $353 million has gone out of the country for foreign education. Now, if the same thing is invested in India, perhaps we had given a much world-class education, etc. So I don't see much reason for Indians going abroad for undergraduate education. Okay. Now another thing I found is, having taught in IIT for 42 years, I have noticed that many students are fatigued due to coaching, and they feel when they join IIT, they feel they have arrived. So many lose interest in learning. So we should make them Vidyarthis again. Vidyarthi means seeker of knowledge. Okay. So now we have to make them. Another thing which you have found is reservation has made classes heterogeneous, because as you have seen, different categories of people which have different cutoffs, etc. So there's uneven reception from teaching. So this is another challenge. Because who is a student? Traits of a student in Bhagavad Gita says Pranipata, he is a surrender, Prashna, question, and Seva, service. Now, all these three must be quality of a student. Okay, service-mindedness help you to grow, cultivate the urge to give, and add value to others, etc. Now, the faculty is most critical competitive education. Okay, so there can be bad student, but there cannot be bad teacher. IITs chase good faculty. They say search, chase, and hunt is the strategy for getting good faculty. Rolling, so the IITs, they have rolling advertisements, department search committee, department seminars, faculty feedback, selection committee, final selection, and counseling by director. Now the thing is, it goes a long process, and when even after they find a good faculty being selected, the director will have a meeting with them. Even they have a dinner, maybe have a dinner with them to coax him to join the institute. Even they have often they even meet the family to do this. So similar is the international practice. So there is no scope for cash or contact. Okay. So all engineering institutes must follow such ethical, transparent, progressive methods. Faculty selection is critical that way. Flexibility of cadre is very is an asset in IIT and NITs. So that way there are no dearth of vacancy. Good faculty is hard to get. There is a large faculty vacancy in all institutions. So we must have adjunct and visiting faculty. We must have use industry expertise, use NRI faculty, and use teaching assistants, PGs. But my caution is never appoint temporary teachers in any institution. They are of poor quality and they are not motivated and they are pathetic. Students don't like temporary teachers at all. Okay. And this has become a very sensitive issue recently. Reservation in faculty. Okay. It's a political sensitive issue. IITs are finding hard to get suitable candidates in these categories because there are not many PhDs among these groups. Okay. Many positions are remaining vacant, unfulfilled, and because of their teaching suffers. Actually, there was a high-level committee comprising academics and bureaucrats. They made recommendations to exempt IITs on this because as done in BARC, ISRO, and other departments, but there is no government response yet. Okay. Now the question is, you have good faculty, but how do you ensure good teaching? Who is a good teacher? And he must like teaching. He must like students. In Upanishad, there is a statement to say, Ma vidvishavahai. There should be no ill will between guru and shishya. A guru must like the student. A teacher should quit teaching if he dislikes the students. Okay. So a teacher is teacher a born or made? Is a teacher by choice or chance? Okay. So we have to address this. A bad teacher is a bane. He's often vindictive, harass students, harms generation of students for 35 years. So do not hire bad teachers. And you resist recommendations. Merit and motivation must be prime factors. And as I told you, avoid temporary teachers. Bad doctor kills one patient. Bad engineer kills hundreds through bad design of structures. Bad teacher kills thousands of students. Okay, therefore, take bright TAs, use adjunct or visiting faculty, but have good teaching. I would say, what are the type of teachers? I classify them as competent teacher, effective teacher, popular teacher, and dedicated teacher. There are different types. And what is necessary condition is you must have dedication, you must have passion. Okay. And a classroom is a cell. Teacher must make the cell a very healthy cell, every classroom. And a learning process, a comprehension, recall, and creative thinking. And instructors' general objective is to clear and not uncover. Okay. In each class, he must give a piece of information, technical skill, and he must experience a creative thinking. And student must be made to learn. So what is our goal? Our goal is to create good human beings first, then good engineers next. Next is good domain engineers. So that should be the order. Okay. Now, these are just for information of anybody. These are my video lectures. They are available in YouTube. They are produced by Education Technology Center of IIT Delhi on different subjects, and they are available in this link. Okay, and that means the technology-assisted learning, teaching learning will become popular. And I used a software called Blackboard when I taught in the Ryerson University in Toronto in 2008. That means a teacher will upload PPTs before the class, and I found all students had their my PPTs lectures on laptops. But Indians had to get into this culture. You could have paperless class and software-enabled features like notice board communicating with students. So we need to have smart classrooms. So the thing, a future teaching will have to be techno-savvy. So that means we are going from Gurukula to Shishyakula. Should be exclusively with those Gurukula and monastery, and should be democratized using ICT revolution. And there are MOOCs. So there are many type of students have access to many of these things today. They'll learn learning. Now, the new concept has come called a flipped classroom. That means students will have the videos, they will go through the videos before coming to the class, and there will be small groups guided by tutors. So and this is known to be effective. So that means they will clear the doubts because they have already gone through the videos, etc. So I've tried this in some of the local colleges, and my experience has been quite good in this. Now the thing is, in teaching, these are important in test examinations and grading. Okay, they're important, but not the component of academic system. They should have a variety of tests: closed book, open book, etc. So emphasis on intelligence and not information. In IIT, we don't ask the question like explain and describe. The question paper will not say explain and describe. Therefore, it should be more intelligent. So therefore, laboratories will have different type of tests. I found that setting up intelligent question paper to intelligent IIT students was a big challenge. Now, teaching, some principles are there. Teacher not taking class is blasphemy. Student not attending class is dereliction of duty. So teacher must compensate for missed classes. As a customer, student must get customer satisfaction and made to grasp fundamentals. And one thing you must do is avoid bazaar notes. Okay. And at this stage, I just want to remember some of my proud students. There's one Professor Bhim Singh, Ambrish Chandra, and Sanjay Roy, who are successful academically. They are well known. There's Arvind Tiwari in GE. He has done wonderful work in energy systems. You know, Rajendra Pawar, Tadani, and Rajan, they were my students. They set up this NIIT system. You must have heard of Vinod Khosla, venture capitalist. And Raghuram Rajan was my student. There's one Akhilesh Pansal, M.R. Patel, they were industry people who were my students. And Puneet Goyal, Gaurav Gupta, and Arvind Srivastava are civil servants. And I think Gaurav Gupta, Arvind Srivastava in Karnataka cadre. And you must have all heard of Gaurav Gupta, who is now the head of the BBMP. Okay, they were my students. Okay. Now, one of the important now I would go to is education beyond classroom. This is equally important, not just classroom. Project, internship, co-curricular, social activities, greening, seminars, conference, workshop, technical cultural festivals, student bodies. A student can learn a lot beyond the classroom. This must also be embedded a part of education. It must be listed. I would look at some of the factors which will make good engineering education. One is a CEO or vice chancellor or director or principal. He must be of integrity, vision, and academic experience and have good freedom. And governance is important. Transparency, decentralization, democratic mode, top-down and bottom-up methods. and faculty must feel that they own the institute. That is a good governance. So family fiefdom exists in some places. So that is not good governance in a way. And then research is a major component of these things. I'll quickly touch upon this. You know the Swadhyaya Pravachanabhya na Pramaditavyam. That is what is told in Upanishads. There is Swadhyaya Pravachana. So goal of is self-study and knowledge spreading. Okay. And so research is important. So there are steps of research. So one should, research is to extend the periphery of knowledge. So we should study literature, identify a live problem. And what is the difference of scientist and engineer? And scientists finds how things work, and engineer finds how to make things work. Okay. So research is a continuous activity for both. Okay. So we have to look at both aspects, scientist and engineer. There are very different types of research: scientific research, humanities, artistics, life, technological, economic, business, marketing, social, and practitioner. So to equip for research, you have to take advanced courses, mathematics, simulation skills, experimental skills, fabrication. So a researcher is often a manager. He has to manage several things, men and materials. Okay. Now, there could be self-research, guiding research, or sponsored research. Now, in engineering, there is theoretical research, modeling simulation, experimental research, industrial research, and a combination. So one has a combination of all these things as part of research. There is fundamental applied research and breakthrough or incremental research, academic or industrial research, and a research leading to innovation. So the various types of research, all these things can be pursued based on one's interest. Either research is self-motivated, peer-suggested, societal concern, industrial relevance, or solving an exciting unsolved mystery. Okay. For good research, you require manpower, infrastructure, equipment, computation facility, funds, external collaboration, overall ambience. Okay. And there are many agencies which are just listed from where you can seek funds for research. And there are many international collaboration possibilities as mentioned here. And you must have a strong theory to do research, theoretical background. And you must have a strong base of modeling and simulation techniques which are there. So a researcher must be conversant with all these things. And experimental study require a good experimental exposures. So I listed this, which one can go through. And documenting research is equally important. It's not just doing research, document. You must know how to write research papers, how to write thesis, how to write project proposals, how to write project reports, how to write for patent. It's a big art, and how to submit for awards. So these are the documentation of what you do. Output of research can be thesis, research paper, patents, project reports, or software. And what is a new outcome? You can create a new theory, new modeling, new application, new product, new process, or an economic solution, new design or CAD, new experimental finding, or a new data. All these are new outcomes. And how do you know whether your quality, your research have a good quality? Either journal papers, citations, patents, relevance and technology transfer, new product and process, new innovation, awards and recognition. So these are the things. And infrastructure of an institution is important quality education. Each institution has a good infrastructure, good campus ambience, 24/7 water, electricity, internet, green sustainable campus, or what you call Griha norms, modern classrooms, modern labs, modern offices, modern teacher chambers, auditorium, seminar halls, lecture complex, hostels, healthcare and transport, facility for sports, extracurricular. So if you are a quality engineering institution, you must have a quality infrastructure. And your location connectivity is important. You know, you must have that will decide your expertise or excellence. Even IITs, you know, some are remotely located, they have problem, whereas those in metros are doing much better. So city and location, accessibility, air, rail, and road connectivity. Another important factor is autonomy, regulation, accountability. These are all factors for a quality education. Autonomy and regulation cannot go together. Autonomy demands accountability. Affiliated colleges have least autonomy. IITs have most autonomy. Therefore, all this will decide about the quality of education you impart. Then accreditation is nowadays a very critical component in judging your education. It is a major quality, this thing. National Board of Accreditation has a detailed method to accredit colleges. A core philosophy is based on the Washington Accord, to which India is a signatory. So NBA, I was in the appellate committee of NBA. I'm aware of how the colleges have been accredited. And I think each college must try to have a good grading of NBA accreditation, so that reflects the quality. In MIT, USA has a concept of visiting committee. So one can consider with stakeholders, their visiting committee. Now, today, I think this has become a critical component. You know where you stand, ranking, recognition, and rewards. Okay, and they tell the excellence of an institution. Very few IITs are among the top world ranking. And there is recently, there is one good thing which the Ministry of Education has done is a NIRF, National Institutional Ranking Framework, NIRF. It is a good practice, and you can see top 10 engineering colleges in 2020. The top 10 engineering institutions, you find IIT Madras in this order. First rank, IIT Madras, IIT Delhi, IIT Bombay, IIT Kharagpur, IIT Kanpur, IIT Roorkee, IIT Guwahati, IIT Hyderabad. So top 8 are IITs. The 9th is NIT Trichy, and 10th again is IIT Indore. So you can see among the top 8 engineering institutions in the country, these are the scores. The IIT Madras has 89 score, and the 10th rank Indore has 62. So there's a big gap in the scores also. While the top 5 IITs have similar scores, later on it comes down. So this is a, and senior IITs are on top. Senior IITs are on top, while 4 NITs find place in top 20. 2 generation IITs have varying ranks and scores. Okay, and there's wide variation in ranks and scores of even old NITs. The wide gap among these institutions must be bridged over time through incentives and penalties. Nowadays, ministry has made that your funding will depend upon your ranking. Therefore, it is an incentive, and we should ensure that all quality institutions must have a score of more than 70% among NIRF scores. Now, institution between 10 to 20, IITs, Varanasi, Dhanbad are 11th and 12th, and NIT Surathkal is 13, and Roorkela is 16, and Warangal is 19. Anna University is 14, VIT Vellore is 15, Jadavpur is 17, Chemical Technology Institute Bombay is 18, Amruta School of Engineering is 20. So among 20, you will see about 5 institutions beyond IIT and NIT system. Okay. On reward recognition, IITs are far ahead of NITs. Okay. There are 232 INA fellows in IITs, but there's only 1 in NIT. There are 75 IEEE fellows in India, out of which 37 are from IIT, and there's only 1 from NIT. So for good recognition, it needs hiring of so if you want good recognition of an institution, you must hire good faculty who will have a good rewards. Another important factor is industry interaction. And so industry linkage is a measure of academic strength. But in India, industry interaction is weak. Even the newly developed countries like China, Singapore, Taiwan have very strong industry interaction. In general, the faculty are not industry savvy, okay, due to their background experience, which is mostly academic and theoretical in nature. Some institutions have created the professional chairs in IITs, etc. And now the thing is, what are the modes of industry interaction? You see, the thing is, if you want quality engineering education, you must emphasize on this. This is student internship, industry experts delivering lectures in institute, industry person registered for courses in institutes, academic experts delivering lectures in industry, continuing education programs, industry participation in curriculum planning, joint seminars, conferences, campus recruitment, etc. So these are the modes in which industry interaction must be enhanced in the country. Alumni interaction is also equally important. Bulk of American Indians are engineers and with lot of potential to be tapped. You know, in America, a lot of alumni are there, but they can be tapped. There are about 5 lakh IIT alumni in USA who have organized pan IIT events. So old IITs are planning a corpus of 1,000 crores. That is their plan, IITs. But many IIT alumni associations are active. Now, what alumni can do? You know, I have put a wish list: corpus, endowments, scholarships, infrastructure, lab modernization, upgrading hostels, international linkages, IT-enabled facilities, green campus, modern residences, classrooms. So alumni can help institutions in enriching all this. Okay, and another important parameter: international linkages. If you are in a top world ranks, you must have a good internationalization. But Indian institutions are weak in this front. But there are local rules hinder international collaboration, and we need a strong education reform. Plan of some IIT to set up centers abroad were vetoed by government, and same happened of foreign universities to set up centers in India. So we have been talking about it. Neither Indian institutions can go abroad, nor foreign institutions come to India. So this is not a good trend under the concept of globalization. But while they are very successful in these efforts in China, Singapore, or Middle East, making India a loser. So they have a strong internationalization, China, Singapore, and Middle East. Even a closed society like China is far ahead of India. Despite language barrier, they have more foreign students than India. It is not easy for a foreign NRI professor to teach in India under a contract. While many IIT faculty have gone abroad to teach, reverse is not happening. Foreign faculty of Indian origin should be tapped. I met a dean in Ryerson University in Canada, and he said there's only one professor in his school who is born in Canada. Okay, rest were all from abroad. So our alumni located abroad through Pan IIT, Pan NIT can contribute significantly increase international linkages. And now, if you say India is a future economic power, and it was reflected through effective foreign outreach. Okay. Now, MOU, you see, we have a lot of MOUs, foreign universities, but they are not translated effectively in the ground. So in India's collaborations in several countries are underutilized. There was one Singh-Obama agreement during Manmohan Singh's time. I don't know how much has been effective. There is good scope for enhancing it. So there is a lot of scope for international research, and we should enhance student exchange, internship, credit transfer should grow manifold international linkage. Now, we should also have a good linkage with society. In developed countries, there is near universal mandate they must help the society. In India, the vast scope exists on several Indian institutions, especially engineering colleges, can be effectively work on many socially relevant issues like energy, education, environment, agriculture, communication, IT, transport, roads, healthcare, water management, waste management, weather forecasting, seismic studies, flood control, disaster management, etc. There is one good scheme of Ministry of Education recently called Unnat Bharat Abhiyan project, which is anchored by IIT Delhi. It supports to take technology to remote villages. Now, I think this is one thing that I think education institution, especially engineering institution, must go. Therefore, I would say sky is the limit to tackle local problems, provided due supplies given. That means we must have a good support. So we must take engineering to society, okay, for that institution. Now, the professional society can also play a role in quality engineering education, like student chapters, seminars, workshops, industrial visit, competitions, technical festivals, e-newsletters. So in India, they're active like Institute of Engineers, IITE, and several bodies are there. So I think the Indian education institutions must actively work with these professional societies. Now, innovation centers, industry parks and startups. So these are also now very critical for engineering education. Entrepreneurship flourishes in the vicinity of high quality education. Innovation needs local concentration skilled manpower. So IIT Madras started with the industry park. The faculty has advanced domain knowledge. Industrial R&D personnel keen on converting ideas to marketable products, and students spirited and unaware of impossibilities. That means it will be a good synergy between faculty, industrial R&D personnel, and students. This is what it happened. In fact, recently Infosys has agreed to set up innovation center in IIT Dharwad. I think we should encourage more such innovation centers. Yeah, a few IITs have performing innovation centers and industry parks, and even some NITs are also having this initiative, and we must replicate in all campuses. So startup culture has sprouted in many IITs and NITs. Even the faculty, I was told by Director IIT Delhi that many faculty in textile department IIT Delhi have their own startups. In foreign countries, it is quite common for the professors to have their own companies next door. So they work sometime in industry and sometime in institute. Therefore, if you want Atmanirbhar Bharat, you must encourage a lot of startups. Okay, so that is one of the things. Actually, as I told you, like Vinod Khosla and Deshpande, they have been venture capitalists and supporters of startups. Edge scheme of Deshpande located in Dharwad. He has supported 100 entrepreneurs, out of which 52 startups have launched and 22 have raised external funding. So many IITians have successful startups with majority in software, but few in manufacturing products. I'll come to the last point, an important point: value education, professional ethics, and Indian ethos. I think this is also very important, it cannot be ignored. So value education, professional ethics are integral to engineering education. Now, GE, for example, has made a policy. Integrity is the core policy of General Electric. IEEE, these professional societies have a document called a professional ethics. Even the Metro man Sridharan, whenever a new engineer joined Delhi Metro, he used to give them a copy of Bhagavad Gita to read. Okay, now that was a strong. In fact, many IITs have units on value education. IIT Delhi has got a National Resource Center on value engineering education. IIT Kharagpur has a Center of Excellence for Indian Knowledge System. IIT Kanpur has a Vivekananda Samiti. IIT Madras has a Vivekananda Study Circle. And IISc has also a Vivekananda Study Circle. So all these are the wonderful jobs, in fact, on bringing in values, Indian ethos, professional ethics, etc. And highlights are IIT Kharagpur has brought out a calendar in 2021, which wealth of information on Indian knowledge system. And there are lectures you can access to YouTube produced by these centers by several spiritual leaders like Divya Prananda, Sarvapriyananda, Sri M, and many saints of Ramakrishna Mission. I would advise the students must, I would say, to listen to these lectures which are available on YouTube on values. They deal with important areas like mind management and several of these relevant issues to make human beings. So such students will be real assets to the country. And IIT Kanpur has brought out a very good scripture website. It got a scripture website, a novel scripture website in 2018, and dedicated IIT team of people. You can access anything. Each sloka is rendered in various languages and scripts, offering the commentary and even audio rendering. So currently the site has Bhagavad Gita, Valmiki Ramayana, Brahma Sutras, Ramacharitamas, Yoga Sutras, Upanishads, and many more. Now, I think, that means today you can have access to such great knowledge on your fingertips. Okay, I think that must be encouraged for our students to access. Okay. Lastly, the IITs and the Silicon Valley. Louis Pasteur said, discovery is the result of meeting, a chance meeting of prepared minds. Okay. During 90s, large fraction of IPRs in Silicon Valley were in the name of Indians, and in particular IITians. So IPR is a wealth created in the country. IPR is an important source of wealth today. IITs have been preparing minds for 60 years, and the chance has been meeting them in Silicon Valley. All the best brains are meeting in Silicon Valley, but we have to need to create that chance in our backyards. We want these best brains to meet in India. Okay. So to conclude, Indian engineers who are educated in India have done extremely well abroad. Worldwide, they are well known. We expect them to do the same thing in India and make India great. So let us create all-round excellence in engineering education, and only the best will survive. Okay, thank you very much.
Thanks for the excellent lecture, Professor S.S. Murthy. So you literally exhaustively covered and took us through a whirlwind tour of more than 2000 years, if I may say, and more specifically with engineering. You took us back to our ancient times with our ancient wisdom, right up to the current day NEP, which is the current hot topic which we are discussing. So I think you left no topic untouched. In fact, I was just curiously seeing at the chat room, and everybody were in unison in appreciating your exhaustive grip over education in general and engineering in specific, and also providing compliments for your enthusiasm and also your knowledge on this. So thank you once again, Professor S.S. Murthy, for this excellent lecture of an hour and a half. And the appreciation can be seen on the chat room. So several of them are complimenting continuously. So for paucity of time, in fact, we have several questions. In fact, if I can club a few, some of them are around the IIT sort of university. So one of the questions is, I request people to put their audio on mute so that we can sort of discuss with Professor Murthy. Thank you. So IIT, how to stop brain drain from IIT is one thing, and is IIT accredited? If not, why? Can IIT be turned into a research center so that we can dominate or we can focus on core engineering? And how has been the trend of the current IIT setup with vis-a-vis the 5 premier IITs? So have they caught up, or how your take on this? So basically an IIT sort of questions, so 4 or 5 of them. So your take on that, Professor?
Yeah, I would say there are very good and very interesting questions. I would say they're relevant also. Now the thing is, earlier when I joined IIT in 1970s, I was also concerned that a lot of a brain drain. Today I'm not too much concerned. You know, brain drain also some people say is a brain bank. Now the thing is, like China has been using their non-resident Chinese quite effectively. Now only thing is, see, whether we like it or not, look at see, there are many of these OCIs are doing very well in the President of America Biden's team. You know, now many of the IITs who have become in USA, they are all quite. Only thing we should know how to use them, how to tap them. Okay, therefore we are see, we are not dearth of this. But one thing is, we should also give them you know, for them to stay back in India, we should give them a similar type of ambience of work, this thing, etc. See, I'll give you a parallel. You look at the GE R&D center in Bangalore. There are a large number of IITs and large number of them are IIT PhDs working in Bangalore. And you look at the many MNC R&D centers, you know, Boeing has come and many of the companies are in Bangalore. If you look at them, they all will happy. So the Indians are very happy to work in India, provided you give an American ambience here. Okay, sort of thing. Now the thing is, Why the people don't want to go to public sector? I think I don't have to elaborate on these things. Therefore, only thing is, in fact, even in IITs, I think that, as you said, in faculty, I think we have to create an ambience, okay? And I think, here, of course, our political masters have a big role to play. Therefore, I think now brain drain is a complex issue, no doubt. But I think let us not break our head into this. That's one. Another thing is, you had another question about the other IITs compared to first 5. And I am sure, in over time, all others will catch up. I have no problem. I am in the board of governor member in the IIT Dharwad. We are pushing it. They are also doing quite well. Now, only thing is it is the IIT culture that makes them, not the money or anything else. Now, the thing is, I have been pushing, even NIT should get into the IIT mold, IIT culture, etc. See, you can imagine like NIT Andhra and IIT Tirupati started at the same time. Why should NIT Andhra be inferior to IIT Tirupati? Okay, so therefore, I think even in Karnataka, I think there should be a keen and healthy competition between NIT Surathkal and IIT Dharwad. I think I am very clear that all these institutions can be made world class. Okay, provided we give them a good culture, and then some of the core values must be embedded. You see, in IITs, 2 values are integrity and excellence. We can't ignore these things. So that's the only thing I can say. Therefore, we have great potential, but it's also critical that we provide them a good support system. It should come from society. It should come from the government, and so on. And another important thing in which I'm worried is about all the bright school leavers. They should all be given good opportunity with very keen competition. And it's so much need for coaching. That means we are almost killing the formal education system. I think, we ourselves are responsible for it. So we have to, I think I'm very optimistic about it. Yeah. Any other point?
Yeah, in fact, the other questions was that is IIT accredited? If not, why?
Okay. Now, that was a good question. In fact, others are asking why IITs are not accredited, etc. Now, the thing is, that's why I was trying to say, see, like MIT has a concept called a visiting committee. See, the visiting committee has stakeholders, including alumni, industry people, and so on. So I think, there is no, but then IIT says, who will accredit IITs, like that. Therefore, it is a little complex question, no doubt. But I think, this, I agree that IITs too should be accredited in some form or the other. And you should grade the institutions. But the thing is, today, as I given you the data, if you look at the number of publications, number of patents, number of awards, number of recognition, and fellowship of international societies, and so on, IITs are still far ahead of others. IITs are even far ahead of even NITs, for example. Therefore, they say they're already accredited indirectly by several of these international bodies. Therefore, I agree that this is a food for thought, and it has to be addressed. But then, they're already accredited. Therefore, that is the question. But NITs also should come up to that level. Okay.
So thank you, Professor. I know that several of the participants are itching to sort of pose more questions because I am seeing quite a lot of them. So Professor V.K. Sharma, Dr. Srinivasan N, we have Professor Ajay Tandon who wants to sort of having an interaction. So a lot of queries, Dr. Suresh Jangam Shetty. So all of them are complimenting you on such a wonderful, exhaustive presentation by you. I think for paucity of time, we may have to come to an end. But of course, Professor S.S. Murthy is always available for interactions offline, and you can always get in touch with him. And this particular online lecture is also hosted on Facebook, which is live right now. And people who would like to recommend this or suggest, then always can come back to Facebook and access it on Indian Institute of World Culture's page. So with this, I think we are right at the end of this online lecture of in memory of Professor VG. So I now request a formal vote of thanks to be proposed.
Before I close, I thank all those who have reacted to my lectures. If there is anything, they can just send me the email, and I will be very glad to respond to them. Okay, and then you can compile all the documents and send it to me. Okay, all the questions or comments you can send it to me. Okay.
Sure, Professor.
Okay. Thank you.
ನಮಸ್ಕಾರ ಎಲ್ರಿಗೂ. ಇದುವರೆಗೂ ನಾವು ವಿಶೇಷ ಉಪನ್ಯಾಸವನ್ನ ಡಾಕ್ಟರ್ S.S. ಮೂರ್ತಿ ಅವರಿಂದ ಕೇಳಿದ್ವಿ. ಇಂದು ಹೋಮಿನ ಸಂಸ್ಥಾಪಕರ ದಿನ. ಇವತ್ತು ನಾವು ಪ್ರೊಫೆಸರ್ ವಿ ಗೋಪಾಲ ಸ್ವಾಮಿ ಅಯ್ಯಂಗಾರ್ ಅವರ ಜ್ಞಾಪಕಾರ್ಥ ಆಯೋಜಿಸಿದ್ದ ಈ ಉಪನ್ಯಾಸವನ್ನ ನಮ್ಮ ಹಳೆಯ ವಿದ್ಯಾರ್ಥಿಗಳು ಹಾಗೂ ಪ್ರೊಫೆಸರ್ ಡಾಕ್ಟರ್ S.S. ಮೂರ್ತಿ ಅವರು ಬಹಳ ಅರ್ಥಪೂರ್ಣವಾಗಿ, ಮಾಹಿತಿ ಪೂರ್ಣವಾಗಿ ಹಾಗೂ ನಮಗೆ ಎಲ್ಲರಿಗೂ ಅರ್ಥವಾಗುವ ಪರಿಣಾಮಕಾರಿಯಾಗಿ ನಡೆಸಿಕೊಟ್ಟಿದ್ದಾರೆ. ಡಾಕ್ಟರ್ S.S. ಮೂರ್ತಿ ಅವರು ನಮ್ಮ ಹಳೆಯ ವಿದ್ಯಾರ್ಥಿಯಾಗಿರೋದ್ರಿಂದ ನಮಗೆ ಹೆಮ್ಮೆಯಾಗಿದೆ. ಅವರಿಗೆ ನಮ್ಮ ಹೋಮಿನ ಕಾರ್ಯಕಾರಿ ಸಮಿತಿಯ ಪರವಾಗಿ ವಂದನೆಗಳನ್ನ ಅರ್ಪಿಸುತ್ತೇನೆ. ಈ ಕಾರ್ಯಕ್ರಮದ ಅಧ್ಯಕ್ಷತೆಯನ್ನು ವಹಿಸಿದ ನಮ್ಮ ಹೋಮಿನ ಅಧ್ಯಕ್ಷರಾದ N.S. ನಾಡಿಗರ್ ರವರಿಗೂ ಹಾಗೂ ಹೋಮಿನ ಕಾರ್ಯಕಾರಿ ಸಮಿತಿಯ ಗೌರವ ಕಾರ್ಯದರ್ಶಿಗಳಾದ ಡಾಕ್ಟರ್ N.R. ರಮೇಶ್ ಅವರಿಗೂ ಈ ಸಂದರ್ಭದಲ್ಲಿ ವಂದನೆಗಳನ್ನ ಸಲ್ಲಿಸುತ್ತೇನೆ. ಅಲ್ಲದೆ ನಮ್ಮ ಪ್ರೊಫೆಸರ್ ವಿ ಗೋಪಾಲ ಸ್ವಾಮಿ ಅಯ್ಯಂಗಾರ್ ಅವರ ಕುಟುಂಬದವರಾದ ನಮ್ಮ ಖಜಾಂಚಿಗಳಾದ ವಿ ಶ್ರೀನಿವಾಸನ್ ಅವರು ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಉಪಸ್ಥಿತರಿದ್ದಾರೆ. ಅವರು ನಮ್ಮ ಸಂಸ್ಥಾಪಕರ ದಿನದ ಮುಖ್ಯವಾದ ಅತಿಥಿಗಳಾಗ್ತಾರೆ. ಯಾಕೆಂದ್ರೆ ವಿ ಗೋಪಾಲ ಸ್ವಾಮಿ ಅಯ್ಯಂಗಾರ್ ಅವರು ನಮ್ಮ ಹೋಮಿನ ಅಭ್ಯುದಯಕ್ಕಾಗಿ ದಶಕಗಳ ಕಾಲ ಸೇವೆಯನ್ನ ಸಲ್ಲಿಸಿದ್ದಾರೆ. ಅವರಿಗೂ ಕೂಡ ನಾನು ವಿಶೇಷ ವಂದನೆಗಳನ್ನ ಸಲ್ಲಿಸುತ್ತೇನೆ. ಇಂದಿನ ಕಾರ್ಯಕ್ರಮದ ಸ್ವಾಗತ ಭಾಷಣವನ್ನು ಮಾಡಿದ ಶ್ರೀ ಡಿ ಪದ್ಮನಾಭ ರವರಿಗೂ ಕೂಡ ನಾನು ವಂದನೆಗಳನ್ನ ಸಲ್ಲಿಸುತ್ತೇನೆ. ಈ ಸಂದರ್ಭದಲ್ಲಿ ನಾವು ಈ ಕಾರ್ಯಕ್ರಮವನ್ನ ಇಂಡಿಯನ್ ಇನ್ಸ್ಟಿಟ್ಯೂಟ್ ಆಫ್ ವರ್ಲ್ಡ್ ಕಲ್ಚರ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ನಡೆಸಬೇಕಾಗಿತ್ತು. ಆದರೆ ಕೋವಿಡ್ ಸಾಂಕ್ರಾಮಿಕ ರೋಗದ ಪ್ರಯುಕ್ತ ಈ ಕಾರ್ಯಕ್ರಮವನ್ನು ನಾವು ಅಂತರ್ಜಾಲದಲ್ಲಿ ಈ ರೀತಿ ನಡೆಸಬೇಕಾಗಿ ಬಂದಿದೆ. ನಾವು ಈ ಕಾರ್ಯಕ್ರಮವನ್ನು ನಡೆಸಿಕೊಡುತ್ತಿದ್ದ ನಮ್ಮ ಇಂಡಿಯನ್ ಇನ್ಸ್ಟಿಟ್ಯೂಟ್ ಆಫ್ ವರ್ಲ್ಡ್ ಕಲ್ಚರ್ ಕಚೇರಿಗೂ ಕೂಡ ವಿಶೇಷ ವಂದನೆಗಳನ್ನ ಸಲ್ಲಿಸುತ್ತೇನೆ. ಎಲ್ಲರಿಗೂ ವಂದನೆಗಳನ್ನ ಸಲ್ಲಿಸಿ ಈ ಕಾರ್ಯಕ್ರಮವನ್ನು ಮುಕ್ತಾಯಗೊಳಿಸಲು ನಾನು ಅಧ್ಯಕ್ಷರ ಅಪ್ಪಣೆಯನ್ನ ಕೋರುತ್ತೇನೆ.
Once again, very good night. Shubhratri. ಎಲ್ಲರಿಗೂ ನಮಸ್ಕಾರ.